Hello everyone, I'm Jason, and today on Simple Strategy we're discussing the deck building game, Dominion. Each turn you start with 5 cards in your hand, drawn randomly from your deck. To excel in Dominion, you want to make sure each hand you draw is strong enough to purchase the more expensive and more powerful cards. You generally do this by buying cheap cards that will allow you to buy slightly more expensive cards, which will allow you to buy even more expensive cards, and so on, but you can also do this by removing the weak cards from your deck. All 10 cards that start in your deck, 7 copper and 3 estates, are weak cards that are best to trash from your deck early in the game if possible. Even though they give you a victory point, estates are especially important to eliminate as they clog up your hand for no benefit until the very end of the game. Your first 2 hands of the game will always be either 2 copper and 5 copper, or 3 copper and 4 copper, with estates filling in the gaps. But imagine instead you started with 10 copper and no estates. You'd have 2 hands where you're able to buy cards up to 5 cost. And when you shuffle your deck, you'll get similar hands, plus maybe some of the cards you just purchased. And that's what happens if you're able to trash even just your 3 estate cards. The benefit of having a useless victory point card turn into a helpful treasure or action easily makes up for the loss of a single point. There are 4 cards in the base game that allow you to trash cards from your hand: Chapel, Remodel, Mine, and Moneylender. All of these are good cards as they turn your inefficient copper and estates into more powerful cards or effects. While the Chapel doesn't seem amazing, since it doesn't do anything beyond trashing cards, the ability to take a turn to trash 4 weak cards like estates and copper from your deck can be extremely beneficial. I generally like to pick up 1 Chapel within the first 2 rounds, using the 2 or 3 copper hand that I know I'm going to have. While trashing copper isn't as important as trashing estates, it's still mostly upside, as those copper you would have drawn will just be replaced with silver, gold, or action cards you've purchased that are nearly always more powerful than just a single coin. If you do go hard into trashing your starting cards, make sure to also pick up action cards that grant you additional actions, as you'll have a higher density of these cards and don't want to get stuck with lots of them when you can only play 1. Extra action cards in general are high value, especially with cards like Witch, Smithy, and Moat that draw you cards but don't allow you to play additional actions. You should prioritize buying actions and treasure cards for probably the first 2/3 of the game, and then you'll ideally have a deck built to give you enough money to buy provinces. Even though you don't want to clog up your deck with victory point cards, if at any point you have 8 money, you should always buy a province no matter how early in the game. Estates are a nuisance and barely worth anything, but provinces are the same level of unhelpful while being worth 6 times as many points. In a perfect game, you can buy only provinces and still come out on top with 24 or 30 points. Though if you're having trouble getting to 8 money and your opponents already have, you should probably start buying a couple duchies to try to offset the point loss from not getting provinces. Since duchies are worth half as much as a province, you really need to buy a lot of these if you're going to be able to compete with the people who are buying provinces turn after turn after turn. And those are all the tips we have for you this week. You've just leveled up. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and let us know what game you want to see in a future video. Thanks for watching.